Welcome back to the Highlight Spiel. I'm Fletch.
I'm James.
I went 3-4 last week. He went 3-4 last week. I'm 23-12 overall. He's 18-17 overall.
Yep.
As you can tell, I still have a 5-game lead over him. I'm hoping to push it out a little bit more this week, hopefully. Let's talk about the Week 7 review. Upset of the week. Who'd you have on your upset of the week?
I had Georgia losing to LSU. LSU's defense put them in check, and they beat them in a big way. They beat them by 3 possessions. So that was kind of like a dominant game for LSU.
Very dominant. I didn't expect Georgia to get upset like that. If they lost, I figured it'd be close.
Close, yeah. So that's why I went with Georgia.
Well, I'll tell you what, LSU played more than half a game, and they deserve this one.
Yeah, this was a stake day.
You bet.
Georgia falls to 6-1 and 4-1. LSU climbs to 6-1 and 3-1. So there'll be a shakeup in the top 15 in the country as LSU will move forward in the rankings and Georgia will fall.
I had West Virginia. Last week I had him on upset alert. Thanks to Cruz because he pounded it in my head. And now I'm glad I did because it didn't make me look stupid. Shout out to Cruz. Iowa State, they won 30-14, held West Virginia to 158 total yards, the lowest output since 1995, and that's crazy.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy takes a knee to end it, and the Cyclones back in black, but it's shaping up as another Cardinal October here in Ames. A 4-0 record last October, 2 wins over ranked teams. 2 wins over ranked teams already this October as the Cyclones knock off number 6 West Virginia in dominating fashion. 30-14 the final.
All right, now let's talk about the players of the week. Me, number 3, I had Nate Stanley, the quarterback for Iowa, 21-33, 320 yards, 6 touchdowns and a pick, in a big 42-16 win in Indiana. Then number 2, I had Jared Guarantano, from quarterback of Tennessee. He went 21-32, 328 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 30-24 upset over Auburn. And then number 1, I have Brock Purdy, quarterback, Iowa State. Burlington had him on there last week.
Yep.
He's mine this week. He went 18-25, 243 yards, 3 touchdowns. Also had 39 yards rushing and a big old upset on number 6 West Virginia, 30-14. Who's your players of the week?
Number 3, I had Alex Barnes, running back from Kansas. He had 34 carries, 181 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Number 2, I had KJ Hill, wide receiver from Ohio State. He had 9 receptions, 187 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And then number 1, of course, I got Dwayne Haskins. He went 33 for 44, 415 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
If you don't know already, you can tell he's a Ohio State fan.
Yeah, and those stats are ridiculous. Our offense is probably the 2nd best in college football. I think we're honestly the only real chance of beating Alabama this year out of all the top teams. Clemson's defense has a chance to shut teams down and win, but I don't know if they'll be able to shut a Tua or a Dwayne down for a whole game, and including we got good defenses too. So,
good picks. Now let's talk about teams of the week. Who was your team of the week from last week?
I had Iowa State. They held Heisman candidate quarterback Will Grier to 11-15 for 100 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Also, he had -33 rushing, meaning he got sacked a lot, 7 times. And it was kind of unexpected because usually you don't dominate a Heisman candidate that hard. And, like, he completely melted down. I don't understand where it came from.
Yeah, they dominated their offensive line. They had 9 tackles for loss also, which is crazy.
It came out of nowhere, honestly.
Yeah. My team of the week was LSU. After a big loss on the road on Florida, they came back home and just pounded Georgia 38-16 or 36-16. I'm sorry, but 20 points. That's Jake Fromm got taken out a couple times. He didn't look the same. He didn't even look like a Heisman candidate.
Yeah, LSU was ready to.
Yeah, LSU was ready. They
show
was feisty.
that loss was 1 point for a reason.
Yep. Now let's dive right into the Week 8 preview. We're going to talk about games of the week right now. Saturday, October 20th at 12 o'clock, we got number 9, Oklahoma, traveling to take on TCU. I like Oklahoma in that game. I think ever since that big loss to Ohio State, TCU has unraveled and it hasn't been good. So I think Oklahoma will get it. What about you?
I agree with you 100%. I want Oklahoma. I think TCU hasn't been the same since they lost to us. And Oklahoma's still trying to prove that they have a chance to get into the playoffs. So they're going to fight.
And also at 12 o'clock, number 6, Michigan, travels to take on in-state rival number 24, big old rivalry, Michigan State. I'm taking Michigan State on the upset for the fact they went to Penn State last week and upset Penn State on the road. Now they're back at home taking on Michigan. I think they got the momentum. Granted, Michigan's coming off a big win at against Wisconsin, but I think Michigan State pulls it off. What about you?
Very close game. I think Michigan State's improving in each week, but I still am going to go with Michigan on this. I think Jim Harbaugh and his team gets it done. They're sitting at 6 right now. So we'll see if they keep fighting, trying to make the playoffs, but I'm taking Michigan.
And then at 3:30, we got number 1, Alabama, traveling to take on Tennessee, who just upset Auburn last week. I'm still going to go with Alabama. I don't think Tennessee's defense can stop Alabama's offense, and I don't think Tennessee's offense can move the ball on Alabama's defense. So I'm taking Alabama.
Alabama all the way. I ain't even going to argue it. Next up, Saturday, October 20th at 3:30, we have Colorado at number 15, Washington. I went with Colorado in this game. I like Washington. I think Colorado, coming off that loss, all they have to do is prove, kind of like the LSU situation, just not as big. They win this game against Washington. They get back in the top 25. They just got knocked out, and it will show that they're still trying to fight and maintain. So Colorado.
I like Washington. You know, they just lost a big game of OT against Oregon last week. I think they're going to try to get back on the winning side of things at home against Colorado, so I went with Washington.
Also at 3:30, we have number 16, NC State, at number 3, Clemson. I'm not going to explain this right this second, but I'm going with NC State just for, I think Clemson's going to have a tough matchup. I'll explain more in a little bit.
I went with Clemson, although it's going to be close. This is Clemson's toughest game on their schedule this year. They're both ranked, top 25 matchup. It's going to be a big game, but I think Clemson will get it taken care of.
And then at 7 o'clock, we have number 22, Mississippi State, at number 6, LSU. I'm going with LSU all the way. I still think LSU is a powerhouse team. They barely lost the game they did lose. They proved that against Georgia, that they're not a pushover and that people just can't write them off like that. Plus, they still got one of the best defenses.
I like LSU as well. I'm thinking as long as Burrow shows up, they'll have a good chance to win. So LSU.
I agree.
And then at 7:30, we got number 12 Oregon traveling to number 25 Washington State. I think College Game Day will be there. I like Oregon in this one. After beating Washington in overtime last week, I think they got the momentum, and I think they're going to try and dismantle another Washington team. So I'm going with Oregon.
I also agree with you. Like you said, I think they're going to dismantle another Washington team. I still think Washington's better than Washington State, and Oregon doesn't prove themselves once, and they'll prove themselves twice.
Yep. Now let's talk about our upset alert. Who you have on upset alert?
Clemson. Clemson's had already like 2 or 3 close games this year, and Clemson's defense is there, but their offense, they have a hard time scoring like 30 points, 25, 30. You know, that's about their averages. That's about as big as they're getting. And I just think Clemson's going to have a hard time against North Carolina State, and I think it's going to be proven. And even if they lose, Clemson's still dominant.
I got Michigan on upset alert. Like I said earlier, they're going to Michigan State. Michigan State went to Penn State last week and won. So, yeah, Michigan on upset alert.
Next up on the show, we have X Factor. Who's your X Factor?
My X Factor is Michigan as a whole. Like I said, I've been preaching about this game this whole episode. I think if Michigan's offense comes out and does what they did against Wisconsin and their defense makes key stops, I think Wisconsin will avoid the upset bug. What about you?
I went with Colorado as a team. Mostly as a team, though. Not like I'm including the coaches because they're a big role, but the coaches are already pounding in their head what they need to know. They were a top 25 team, have been. They were even ranked in the top 15, I think, at one time, or close to it. So they have to go back out and show that they can do what they have to do to get back into top 25. Because if they lose this game, the whole thing's done. They probably won't even break the top 25 again. And the coaches already put that in their head. They know what they have to do. Now they just got to go execute.
Yeah. Now let's talk about our Heisman Watch. Fifth on my list, I got Brock Purdy. He's been stellar his 2 games he's played. He's only played 2, but they're 2-0 in the games he's played, so he's number 5. Number 4, Sam Ehlinger from Texas. Ever since the Oklahoma game, he's been on my list, and he moved up a spot because Will Greer dropped off after that terrible game. And then number 3, Kyler Murray, quarterback Oklahoma. He's been sitting at 3 for a while. And at number 2, we got Dwayne Haskins. If Tua was to fall off, I think he'd be number 1. But number 1, I got Tua Tagovailoa. I don't see nobody taking his spot. What about you?
Okay, at number 5, I still have Will Greer at QB for West Virginia. He had a huge meltdown, but I've noticed one thing. It's one game for West Virginia, and everybody, is given, even though it wasn't a ranked team, West Virginia lost 1 game, and there's other teams that lost 1 game that ain't even got as much hate on the wrists. They just kind of got slapped and said, they'll be okay. Well, let's see what West Virginia could do.
Yeah.
Will Greer was a Heisman candidate for a reason. I still think he can be a Heisman candidate. I still think he is a Heisman candidate. Can he come back? Can he regroup? Can he win the season out? Can he beat Oklahoma twice? That's still questions that can be answered. So we'll see. At number 4, I have Jonathan Taylor, the running back from Wisconsin. Honestly, I just put him on my list because I don't want all QBs and I wanted a running back. And I think he is the best running back in college football right now. At number 3, I have Kyler Murray, the QB from Oklahoma. Kyler Murray's good, great arm, actually fights. Even when he's down, he does anything he can to come back, and that's just stuff you can't get rid of. Number 2, Dwayne Haskins, QB for Ohio State. Just as good as Tua. I think Tua's a little bit better at his completions. I think that's why Tua is number 1. And Dwayne, if anything happens to Tua, he's definitely going to be the front runner. I think what he's doing for Ohio State was very unpredictable, and people didn't expect him to come out and dominate like this, and he really has took off. And at number 1 is Tua Tagovailoa. He's the best quarterback in college football. They had a little scare. Thank God he's okay. Completion-wise, decision-making, he's just the best quarterback.
And now let's talk about our playoff predictions through Week 8.
Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? 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 Playoffs?
Who you guys your top 4?
My list is still the same. I have Ohio State, Alabama, Notre Dame, and Clemson. Even if Clemson loses this game, like I said, it's 1 game. This is their toughest game, and this, if they do lose this game, will be the game that fires them back up and shows them that they can lose. And I still like Clemson in my playoffs.
I also got Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, and Notre Dame also. Those are the best 4 teams as of right now. Yeah, so that's it.
And honorable mentions, LSU's right there.
Yeah.
They're right there. Yeah. Notre Dame loses, LSU's right back in it.
Yeah.
And even though, like I said, LSU only lost by 1 point, beating Georgia, that was huge. So we got actually good playoffs. I think a 4th team this year is going to be another random, but it's going to be a good random.
Well, that's the highlight spiel. I'm Fletch.
I'm James.
Brought to you by Trio 4 Productions. I want to give a shout out to Cruz. He just got a website up and running, almostheavenathletics.com.
Yep.
Go check it out. Give it a like on Facebook. I'm pretty sure he got a Twitter page too. See you again next week.
Next week.